son, to carry that load. I got checked out by a blonde young heifer. Says she might want her, but I ain't gonna let her. Hair in my eyes like a Highland steer, string in my step like a white-tailed deer, a hitch in my hip like an old sheepdog, I puff up my chest like a big bullfrog.
I'd like to say that we appreciate you coming out to listen to some speakers that we've lined up to give you an idea of how this campaign is proceeding and some of the issues behind it.
I bring greetings from the Council. The Council stands in support of keeping the prison farm programs in our correctional system of Canada. We realize that these programs provide useful skills, training and character building to the inmates in order to help them with rehabilitation back into our society. We also urge the
The National Farmers Union is very supportive of the Cross Canada campaign to retain the 6 existing prison farm institutions, including the Riverbend Institution in Prince Albert. In March 2009, shortly after the announcement of the prison farm closures was made by the federal government, the NFU sent a letter to Peter Van Loan, Federal Minister of Public Safety, urging the federal government to reverse its decision. In that letter, NFU President Stuart Wells termed the closures a short-sighted move that appeared to be motivated by potential financial gains from the sale of real estate. The minister's rationale for closing the prison farms is that the institutions no longer provide employable skills training to inmates because the number of farms in Canada has declined. It's true, the number of farms has declined. This is due in large part to federal policies that push down family farms while guaranteeing big profits for corporate agribusiness. But that's no reason to kill a constructive program that actually does help rehabilitate inmates. The government's assertion that food production is outdated and irrelevant and that the skills associated with farming are without value is just plain wrong. The prison farms represent a very small part of the overall cost of the federal penal system, but they contribute a considerable quantity of locally grown food to the institutions. Far from saving money, the loss of the locally sourced food will increase the financial burden on taxpayers.
I guess I'm going to be the one that's going to echo a lot of what everybody said. I have a really big problem with Stephen Harper and his government saying farming doesn't matter. You know, we watch every time there's a federal election. What is he doing? He's out talking to the farmers, looking for their votes. His short-sighted and ignorant discussions that he's having now about closing the 6 federal farms across Canada, that has got to be the stupidest decision I think I've ever seen in my life. You've got something where we're taking and growing produce, milking cows, pigs, we have poultry. It's being distributed through Correctional Service Canada. Now they're going to stop that. Because if this closes, if the farm closes in Prince Albert, it's not the workers. I'm not here representing the workers saying people are going to lose their jobs. When a tractor breaks, we have to get parts for the tractor. Where do we buy it? Local communities. We need seed. Where do we get it? Local communities. What's going to happen when it's not there? What's going to happen to the local communities? You know, I had a really good discussion with Minister Van Loan. I sent him a letter in April saying, Minister Van Loan, I would like to sit down and discuss this with you because this is a cabinet decision. The Correctional Service of Canada cannot talk to me about it. In Ontario, where we have 2 farms, Frontenac Institution in Pittsburgh, and we have a coalition there with the National Farmers Union, some interested farmers, the Sisters of Providence. They wanted me to come up with a media clip. So I thought about it a little bit, maybe all of about 30 seconds, and I went, you know, it's a good thing we're talking about the farms. Because Minister Van Loan appears to me to be nothing more than a chicken, because he won't sit down and discuss it. So all of a sudden, the man that had no time for me had his staff starting to berate my executive assistant in Ottawa, saying, Minister Van Loan never said that. And of course, anybody here from my executive or knows the union, Sister Kathy Schrader can hold her own with anybody. She read the last paragraph of the letter that he sent me, and it says, you do not have time. So I canceled my holidays to meet with him. I met with him on the 6th of August. He decided to quote me facts and figures. Excuse me, Minister, where are you getting your facts and figures? Well, I'm getting them. Sir, I can talk to everybody in the Correctional Service of Canada. These statistics are not gathered. Oh, well, I got them. Please share. Tell me where you're getting them. Oh, I can't tell you that. So, okay, now we have somebody that's being dishonest and scared. I asked for a forensic accounting of the $4 million we're supposedly losing. Because anybody that works for the federal government, a site might start needing $1. By the time it gets through national headquarters, regional headquarters, local management, you don't get that $1. You're probably getting 75 cents if you're lucky. So they still will not do that. So now it's time to take it to the people. And we're taking it right to farm country. People have to get involved. People have to stand up. You know, there's a threat of an election coming again. Let's see if someone's got the spine to actually call an election or force an election. There's a possibility that could be happening on the 28th of September in Ottawa. I have my national local presidents meeting starting the 28th of September in Ottawa. We will be holding a rally in Ottawa. And if I can get enough people at the rally, and maybe some friends with some tractors, maybe we'll shut down Wellington Street and Parliament the first day they open. They have to talk to us. They have to bring it to the table. This is the decision of the last 10 years that the Correctional Service of Canada was not allowed to talk to their union partners about. It's a cabinet document. We're not allowed to talk to you. That's a shame. So what we need you to do here today, it's a nice group of people. Go back and tell 2 people. Take some of the documentation that said there shouldn't be a union fight, but if we need the union brothers and sisters to stand up to make the fight, until the Canadian public stands up, we need to stand up and push Harper back. Enough of his tyranny. He's got a minority government. Someone needs to send that Lion SOB packet. Enough. But I'll tell you, it's the work ethic and the drive you get from farming. I don't care if everybody that comes out of our correctional institutions don't go into farming. But the work ethic, what you learn from taking care of animals, the responsibility. And you've got to remember, we're talking about the criminally challenged from Canada. We're not the American correctional system. We don't warehouse, we try to teach. And effectively what they're doing by closing the farms is taking the tools away from the parole officers, the people out in the community that supervise the offenders to protect the Canadian society. They're taking away part of their tools out of their toolbox. Because there are people, and there's probably people in the audience today, that would rather work with their hands, work out in a field, and do an honest day's work, that don't want to sit behind a computer, don't want to do office work. No, I'm not saying either is better, one is better than the other. It takes all types of employment for all walks of life. And we're getting rid of that. We're disregarding that. It's just nonsense. I'm so shocked. Well, maybe I shouldn't be. If we look at what he's been doing. Now the other thing that we've got to remember, 2 years ago, approximately 2 years ago, they didn't want to run a deficit. They started selling federal public buildings, buildings that we own as taxpayers, to bail themselves out of a budget deficit because they can get the big dollars for the buildings, sell them, it balances their books. So is this just an underhanded scheme to sell off property around the farms to balance their books once again? We need to stand up as Canadian citizens, and we need to tell Harper that farming matters. Thank you very much.